Hello, Virgo. You have both cried, not at the same moment, not in the shared, witnessed, we are both in this together way that certain kinds of emotion produce when two people are genuinely present to each other. Separately, in the private hours, in the specific, unwitnessed, nobody knows this is happening quality of tears that arrive not from sadness alone, but from the overwhelming reality of something that feels too large to hold quietly, too significant to simply carry without it occasionally spilling over into the form that genuine, uncontainable feeling takes when it exceeds the container. You have both been brought to that point by each other, not through cruelty, through intensity, through the specific, rare, this does not happen often quality of a connection whose depth produces the full range of what depth produces, including the moments where the feeling is so real and so present that the ordinary composure of daily life simply cannot hold it. Take what is yours today. What resonates, let it reach the part of you that has perhaps been trying to make sense of the intensity of what you feel in relation to this person. What does not, release it gently. But for those of you who recognize something immediately, who felt the specific quality of being seen in the description of someone brought to tears by another person in the private hours, this reading is speaking directly to the connection you have been living inside. Let me speak about chemistry, the real kind, not the surface version that gets attached to any two people who seem to enjoy each other's company. Real chemistry is not primarily about attraction, it is about resonance. The specific, structural, these two things vibrate at the same frequency quality of two people whose interior worlds respond to each other with an immediacy and a depth that has no adequate explanation in the ordinary terms of compatibility or shared interests or the simple good fortune of meeting someone pleasant. It operates below those things, at the level where two people simply fit, not perfectly, precisely in the specific and unrepeatable way of something that was configured for the encounter rather than simply available to it. Soft sigh. What exists between you and this person has that quality. The precision, the specific, located, this only works this way with this person quality of something that has not been found reproduced elsewhere, regardless of how broadly or how sincerely the looking has gone. And the insatiable dimension, the quality of a connection that does not reach satisfaction in the ordinary way, that each genuine encounter intensifies rather than resolves, is the specific evidence of that precision. Because things that are precisely configured for each other do not exhaust each other, they deepen. Each encounter producing not the comfortable settling of something met, but the specific, alive, I want more quality of something that reveals more of itself the closer you get. The phone, the image at the center of this reading's energy is not accidental. It is the most honest symbol available for what this connection needs right now. Not more distance, not more processing in the separate, private, unshared spaces where each of you has been carrying the full weight of what exists between you without the relief of bringing it into the shared space. Contact, real contact, The voice to voice, present in real time, nothing mediated quality of two people closing the distance and letting what they have been carrying separately become something they carry together. There is a call that needs to happen, not because the calling will resolve everything. Genuine connections of this depth do not resolve into something neat and finished, but because the current configuration, each person carrying the full weight of the chemistry and the tears and the insatiable quality of something that keeps returning, is costing more than it needs to, is asking each of you to hold separately what was built to be shared. And what is built to be shared tends to become heavier the longer it is held alone. Hear them today, because their voice needs to reach you in the form that is closest to how it actually lives in them. I have cried over you. I am saying that plainly because the plain version is the honest one, and I am done offering you anything less than the honest version. Not once in the recurring what is happening to me way of something that keeps finding the outlets that daily composure tries to close. In the quiet, in the moments where the full reality of what I feel and what the distance between us means in the context of what I feel becomes too present to simply continue carrying without acknowledgement. And the tears are not from sadness alone. That is the specific and important thing I want you to understand. There is grief in them, the specific grief of two people who have something extraordinary between them and are not currently inhabiting it fully. But there is also something else. Something that feels, when I am honest about it, like the overflow of something too large for its container. Like the feeling itself, in the moments when it is fully present and unmanaged, simply exceeds what ordinary composure is built to hold. And the exceeding finds its way out in the form that genuine, uncontainable feeling always finds. What I feel for you is not small. I think you know that. I think the specific quality of what exists between us when we are genuinely present to each other has always made that evident without requiring explicit statement. But I want to say it explicitly. What I feel for you is not small, and it is not resolving with time into something more manageable, and I have stopped expecting it to. Have stopped the specific daily, if I just give it long enough effort of waiting for the intensity to settle into something proportionate to what ordinary life can comfortably contain. It is not going to settle. I understand that now. And understanding it changes what the appropriate response to it is, which is not more waiting. Soft sigh. I want to talk to you, not in the mediated, at a distance, I can compose my response before sending way that the written forms of contact allow, in the real way. Your voice and my voice in real time with nothing between them. Because what I need to say, what has been forming in me through all of the private hours and all of the unwitnessed tears and all of the insatiable, nothing resolves it quality of this connection, needs the real form. The full presence form the one that carries what words on a screen simply cannot carry. Oh, feel the quality of that wanting, because that is not the language of someone who is casually interested in reconnecting. That is the language of someone who has been carrying something in the private hours, through the tears, in the insatiable quality of a feeling that does not settle long enough, that the carrying has become the primary occupation of a significant portion of their interior life, who has arrived at the point where the call is not a possibility but a necessity. Now, let me speak to you about what this means, about what the chemistry that produced the tears on both sides is actually telling you. Because chemistry of this quality, the precise, resonant, deepens with proximity kind, is information. Not just about the feeling, but about the potential of the connection itself, about what two people are capable of producing together when they stop managing the intensity and start inhabiting it. What you are capable of producing together is significant. Spirit is clear about that today, not in the vague, generic, every connection has potential sense, in the specific, this particular configuration of two particular people sense. What your specific combination of energies, histories, interior worlds, what the precise resonance between them is capable of creating when given the space and the honesty and the genuine investment of two people who stop holding back, is something that neither of you has yet fully seen, because you have not yet fully inhabited it, have been standing at the edges of what is possible without moving into the center of it. The center is where the chemistry lives fully, not the edges where the intensity is present, but the full expression of it is managed into something smaller than it is. The center, where both people are completely present, not managing, not protecting, not rationing what they bring, and the resonance between them is allowed to produce whatever it is actually capable of producing without interference from the mechanisms that keep the extraordinary at a comfortable distance. Moving toward the center requires the call, the contact, the specific voice to voice, real time, nothing between you, quality of two people closing the distance that separate carrying has created, and bringing what they have been holding privately into the shared space where it can finally become something they navigate together rather than alone. That navigation, two people with this quality of chemistry approaching the full expression of it together rather than managing it separately, is what Spirit is pointing toward today. Not as a distant possibility, as something that is forming, that both of you are approaching from your separate directions. That is closer to becoming real than the current distance would suggest. Soft sigh. The tears were not waste. That is perhaps the most important thing this reading has to offer. The specific and reassuring truth that the private hours, the unwitnessed feeling, the insatiable quality of a connection that produces tears in both people without either of them being able to fully account for why none of that was waste. It was the building of something. The specific, patient, nobody sees this happening building of two people arriving separately in their own time through their own private process at the place of genuine readiness for what the chemistry has always been capable of producing. Readiness for the full version, not the managed, edges only, I am keeping this at a size I can handle version that both of you have perhaps been defaulting to. The full version, the center, the complete, nothing held back, both people fully present expression of something that has been building through every private hour and every unwitnessed tear and every insatiable, still here, still exactly as strong quality of a connection that simply refuses to resolve into something smaller than it is. The chemistry is insatiable because it is real. That is the honest explanation, not a mystical one, not the inflated language of a connection being made to sound more significant than it is. Real things do not exhaust themselves through proximity. They deepen, and what is real between you, the precise, resonant, configured for each other quality of this specific connection, is going to keep deepening. Every conversation, every encounter, every genuine moment of two people allowing the full quality of what exists between them to be present is going to reveal more rather than less, is going to confirm rather than diminish, is going to make the insatiable quality not a problem to be solved, but a feature of something genuinely extraordinary that deserves to be inhabited rather than managed. Pick up the phone. That is the simple, direct, entirely practical instruction of everything Spirit has brought through today. Not as the solving of something complicated, as the first concrete, this is how the distance closes step toward the center of what exists between you, toward the full version, toward the conversation that both of you have been carrying in the private hours without yet finding the form to have it in the shared space. You have both cried, separately, in the private hours, over the same connection felt from different sides, carried in different forms, but pointing toward the same center, the same full, real, nothing held back expression of something that has been insatiable since it began, because real things do not resolve into something smaller than themselves. They simply persist at full size until the people carrying them finally find the courage to carry them together rather than alone. The courage is here in both of you, building through everything the private hours produced, and the call, the voice, the real time, the nothing between you is the first form that courage takes when it finally decides that the separate carrying has gone on long enough. If this reading found you today, if something here named the specific intensity of what you have been carrying and confirmed that the carrying has been mutual, stay close. Subscribe and come back. Because the story of what happens when two people with this quality of chemistry finally stop managing it and start inhabiting it together is one worth witnessing all the way through. And the next reading will be there for every deep, real, nothing held back step of what the center contains.